What a wholesome episode of Reincarnated as a Slime. I needed this. Like, after that Mob Psycho 100 episode, I needed this series to kind of calm me down. It was really intense today for that series, and so I'm glad Slime Day is still here, and we still have it for a few more weeks until it officially comes to an end, which I really don't want to think about. It's sad that we're literally at the end of Slime. Like, 3 weeks now, 4 more weeks, and this series is over. But okay, anyways, this episode. Rimuru is, in a lot of ways, he's a good and a bad teacher. He intimidated all of those kids, which is hilarious in a lot of ways. Like, the start of the episode, and seeing how nobody wanted to listen to him, nobody gave him, the light of day, they didn't want to even hear him out, and then all of a sudden, he's like, Ranga, and then Ranga popped up, and then he just was there at the presence. They all quickly changed their tones, and were scared. Like, they legit thought they were probably gonna die in that moment, and he threatened them with Ranga, and then when Ranga licked the back of the kid's head, you're like, oh my god, and just the expressions from Rimuru when he's doing this, I'm like, the man's a big bully. Like, that's literally what he was doing. Like, Rimuru, you were straight up bullying those kids. So there's no way you can get around that. You were bullying all those kids into following your orders. And it's hilarious. I think that in a lot of ways, I'm probably going to really enjoy this arc, because even though I said it's going to be probably a radical shift for this series, like I talked about last week, that, majority of the story has been about building a civilization, but now that we're getting into kind of helping these children out and allowing them to be able to better themselves and maybe one day become heroes and able to control their powers, we're going to probably have a shift in the story, and it does seem like that really is happening right now. Rimuru is trying to fix these children. He's trying to allow it to where their life expectancy goes over 5 years, and they're able to reach, adulthood one day. And that's a big thing I have to talk about right now. So we get a little bit of details on how Rimuru could potentially help them. Apparently, something called, like, the Queen of Spirits or whatever, like, the Spirit Realm, I guess that's an easier way to call it, the Spirit Realm was introduced in this episode. And this Spirit Realm houses many different creatures, spirits or whatever, that can, be very powerful or probably very evil when you think about Ifrit and all that from the early stages of Reincarnated as a Slime. There's probably both sides, good and evil. And the thing is Rimuru wants to go to this place. He wants to find a spirit that can help these children out and to be able for them to control their magical power. And so Rimuru was talking about how the Shizu situation, how that went. And we gotta kind of, analyze that. As we remember, Shizu as a character, she was forced to have a spirit, be in her. Like, she had a spirit completely bonded with her very soul, and it was able to allow her to access certain abilities that she never thought was possible, and she was able to live for a very long time. Eventually, Ifrit, the spirit within, Shizu, it did destroy her, and she would have eventually been completely consumed and no longer herself if things didn't get ended like it did. But overall, it did extend her life. And that's kind of what Rimuru was seeing here. He's like, wait a minute. Shizu was able to live for a very long time. It was able to kind of manage her power and all that. I wonder if, another spirit, if we were to get a bunch of different spirits in the spirit realm to get inside and control the very magic abilities with these children, I wonder if it'll work. That's kind of what Rimuru was talking about. And it brings up a lot of questions, because we gotta look at what happened to Shizu. Remember, Shizu, she technically died thanks to that. She died to a spirit slowly consuming her. And even if there might be good and bad spirits, it could still happen, maybe. Maybe eventually the spirit completely consumes the child and there's nothing left. I'm kind of worried about that. And I don't know if the series will go down that path or not, but it is a cause for concern. And I do wonder if Rimuru will factor that into his plan if he does try that to fix their abilities. Which, by the way, let's talk about, how it was clarified in this episode that Rimuru can't just straight up absorb their magic power. I'm very thankful for that, because it would have been an easy fix, like a straight up easy fix if that was the case, and it would have gotten rid of all of the, I guess, tension or the direty of the situation, like you're like, oh, it's so easy to fix. I'm glad that Rimuru's not able to just straight up go in, absorb their magic, and that's it, and then they're A-okay. There has to be other fixes to it, and like I said, that's what led him into the spirits. But I do think, though, that another thing that's really cool is that Rimuru did try to allow them to expel all of their magic at once, which is something that I was thinking about, and it would make sense, because when you think about an individual, at their core, if we're talking about magic or whatever, there has to be a set limit. There has to be, like, a cap. Let's say you're playing a regular game, RPG game, and your mana or whatever is at 100, and when you level up, obviously, it might get a little bit higher, maybe it'd go to 110 or 125, whatever, but overall, you have a set base level of your mana pool. And in this case, that's kind of what's happening here, is that these children, they have a set base. Even though that they have a lot of magical power, and they're not able to really control it, and it is technically killing them, if they're somehow able to expel all of this power, then they probably would not have to worry about dying. They just need to figure out a way to be able to do this, and that still technically could happen. And Rimuru does talk about how it's very odd that, like, you know, the Kenya, I think that's his name, how he has great potential, a lot of power within him, but he's not able to draw it out, which would probably be linked to the situation of how they can't control their powers, which would make it very hard to get rid of all this excess magic energy. But I think if there is anything that could happen, that is definitely a definite way that could be helping these children. Like, make them constantly use their magic to the point to where they're completely run dry, and then that could extend their lives. And they would have to figure out a way to constantly use their magic on a daily to be able to make sure it doesn't go back up to its maximum to where it will kill them. Who really knows? But, anyways, getting into the, other stuff. So there was a critical scene in this episode with a sky dragon popping up. And overall, the threat of the dragon wasn't really that crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, when I hear a dragon, I think it's powerful, yes. And when we know about a certain dragon in the series, you know, Veldora, we know that Veldora is a powerful dragon. Pretty much, like, top tier, one of the strongest beings in existence, besides the hero that kind of imprisoned him. So, we do know that Veldora is powerful, and he is a dragon. So, when you see a sky dragon introduced, many at first glance might say, oh crap, is this dragon gonna be, you know, on a same level of strength as Veldora, which we come to quickly find out that is definitely not the case. The Sky Dragon is literally just destroyed with a snap of the fingers. It's like Thanos snap. That's exactly what happened to the dragon. Rimuru popped up, absorbed the dragon instantly, it was over. And I'm just like, that quickly? Like, really? And there's just, like, so much build up to it and all that of how strong this dragon was. Like, you know, when it popped up, you know, its aura, the way it looked and all that, and when it finally got in front of everybody and was shooting this lightning and stuff, and how Rimuru just completely got rid of it in an instant, you're like, okay, I mean, it definitely wasn't a threat whatsoever. And once again, this goes along with the point of how Rimuru is just so OP. He's so OP right now, I wonder if he will technically ever have a challenge. I wonder if he will face an opponent that really can just straight up demolish him, and he won't be able to do anything about it. I think Millium in some ways would probably do that, but I mean, like a straight up fight to where he has to fight an evil opponent that he really just cannot win against. I do wonder if we will get anything like that before Season 1 comes to an end, which, by the way, I do hope this series does get a Season 2, because I think it's very popular. I think it's selling like hotcakes at the very least, or people are really appreciating it in Japan. I know it's very popular in the States. I mean, it's always reaching top and all that, and when I go to look on the popularity list of Crunchyroll or whatever. So, I mean, I know for a fact that the very least this series is doing well. I just am kind of curious, though, if there will be a Season 2 or not. Oh yeah, and one last thing. I've been hearing a lot from source readers since, like, last week that there is a lot of content that is being rushed, cut, etc., etc. And as I told you recently, the anime is past where I was in the manga when I was reading it, so I'm pretty much anime only now. And I'm just kind of curious if anyone can kind of clarify, how much are they cutting? Like, I know that not every series can show every single thing and nothing's going to be perfect. I fully accept that. But it really depends on what is being cut or not, and I'm trying to understand why so many original source readers are upset. But if people can clarify in the comments below, please do so. I would appreciate it greatly. But I think I want to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below, because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you do want to get notified for whenever I do upload a video, hit that bell icon. And even if you don't want to do it for me, at the very least, do it for the YouTubers you do care about, because it does help us out a lot. And I mean, it'll allow you to constantly keep up with their content. And so I love you guys. Be safe. Chibi out.